Well, hello friends, and welcome to another video. This time we're going to talk about the Mitsubishi Jeep. Did you know that Jeep authorized the Mitsubishi to build a version of the Japanese Jeep called the J-Jeeps back in 1953? Initially, the Mitsubishi company built 53 of these things for the regional national forest. They recognized the importance of having a four-wheel drive and a solid base on their work in the forest, so they built 53 of them. They were coded the J3 initially, but it has nothing to do with the CJ-3A Jeep in which it was based. The J3 code was based on the 53 initial Jeeps and the J for J, so they just called it J3 because they didn't want to call it J53s. The J code of the Mitsubishi Jeep has changed over the years. The next iteration of that Jeep was called the J2, and they built 500 of them, and that was built for the National Forest Agency, and some of that we still see running on the road today. I'm going to talk a little bit about a particular Jeep that I saw here in Japan, in Okinawa specifically, called the J54 and the J53s. The difference between the J53 and the J54 is that one carry the gasoline engines and the diesel engines. Those are the differences. Otherwise, the transmission, the chassis, and everything else about it is all the same. So the Jeep heritage here in Japan was continued by Mitsubishi, and they built Jeeps all the way till 1988. There were short wheelbase, long wheelbase, different types of iterations of this Jeep built in Japan, and there were about 200,000 units that were built. There were a lot of them that survived because the Japanese community loved these Jeeps, and most of them are being restored and kept in great condition. And like I said, this particular Jeep that I'm going to show you here in a minute is rebuilt and in outstanding and amazing mint condition. I love them because they remind me so much of our CJ-3As. When Jeep allowed Mitsubishi to build the J3s, they were competing with the Nissan Patrol and the Toyota Land Cruiser, and that's why some of these type of Jeeps ended up in Japan. I think they are a classic. I think they are sought for, but they're harder to find, and especially the ones that were made later on in 1988. They were equipped with the 4-cylinder diesel turbo, which you can imagine is one, good on gas, high on torque, and would be a perfect machine for off-roading. A lot of the Japanese don't really modify Jeeps here because of the rules and regulations with these type of Jeeps, but because they are much older, I think they've been passed on a little bit more. You know, here in Japan, bigger tires is not really the thing. I would say that's the biggest tires I've seen that these Jeeps carry is about 33. So a little bit on the drivetrain, they have the same configuration as the earlier Jeeps, which is on their suspension. It's not like this Jeep TJ right here that has 4 coils on each corner. The suspension is leaf under the axles. If you want to lift it, I think the option would be to buy new leaf springs like what you find on the Jeep YJs and the older CJ7s, or you can do a spring over configuration in which you'll have to figure out the steering and a few other issues before you can ride your Jeep on the road. The Japanese safety inspection is very stringent, so you don't see a lot of these configurations here in Japan. So that is pretty much the interesting fact about the Mitsubishi Jeep and how it relates to our Jeep now. I just wish that they continuously built this Jeep all throughout the years, but at the end of its production, it was replaced by the Pajero. Thank you very much for watching my channel. Again, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time I upload. Also, don't forget to comment. Let me know what you think about the Jeep that's made by Mitsubishi. Thank you very much.